Hello friends, this is Coltron. Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker, where we are going through the 6.1 main story quest. So, Varshan, sharing the wealth, because last time we saw Golbez. He wasn't named, but that was friggin' Golbez. And I don't know how Golbez is gonna, so Golbez is clearly part of the 13th, but I don't know how he's gonna factor into this MSQ more than that. Sharing the wealth. Varshan wishes to discuss the distribution of the treasure. Varshan, shall we begin? If we were to spend the treasure wisely, then we must first determine which groups would benefit most from monetary assistance. Some of my citizens may... How are you going to do this without lobbying? I don't know how any government does that. Some of my citizens may find it intimidating to speak with the Satrap directly, so I would ask that you act in my stead. I guess. You're pretty approachable, though, but still. Kukushu, you are to visit Akyali and Yedlamad, speak with Matsya and his people, and listen to their grievances. Estinian, I bid you do the same at Palaka Stand. I will be conducting my own inquiries at Giant Skull Grounds. Alright, so we will be your representatives. Once you believe you have ascertained the needs of the populace, we can reconvene at Megaduta. Hello again, Matsya. Your boat was great, by the way. Matsya, oh, Kukushu! I was so glad to see you had returned unharmed. You finished with the boat, then? I have. Anything the village desperately needs? Well, I suppose Kalzal's loss hit the hardest. So we need another Kalzal. I've been trying to find buyers for my fish, although I sell a few here and there, but it's so much more difficult than it was before. Everyone's still struggling to rebuild their lives. For now, we're just banding together as best we can. So no real specific answer from you, but we'll go talk to those people. Talk to the Yedlamadians. I guess I'm not sure what you're asking for. When you said, yeah, I'm not actually sure what your request was there. I guess you didn't have a request. You're just Yeah, I suppose he didn't really have a request. He was just we were just telling him we're going to talk to the others, I guess. How do we get into this tent? Mender, most useless thing on the... I never mend my stuff. Junkmonger. Greetings and welcome, traveler. If this is your first visit to Thavnair, then you must try my special Amra Lassi. Refreshing zest cannot be beat. What would such a wonder cost, you wonder? Normally, I part with 3 bottles for the generous price of 19,800 gil, but for you, I'm willing to go as low as an even 10,000. You'd be practically stealing from me. So this guy's still up to his old tricks. I am not a Estinian. This price, you're the only thief around here. Still not turning a profit these days. I am not Estinian. Let's go. I have to go with I'm not Estinian. I don't know that you know who Estinian is, so it'll just be a joke for me. Estinian, who is it? Ah! You're the one who was with that spear-toting fellow. Well, you can hardly blame a man for trying. Okay, so you do remember him. The world may no longer be on fire, but we're still sifting through the ashes, so to speak. Sisters, spare me. We might as well have that ugly tower back for the scant few travelers we see these days. I myself barely have the coin to buy at local prices. I tell you, if I didn't charge the odd adventurer a small fortune for afternoon tea, I'd be scavenging for scraps in the street. So the Junkmonger is like a mobile game where, like, most people won't pay and so he makes a product that only aims at the people who are going to pay, like a few people who are going to pay exorbitant amounts. I may have a slight gripe against free-to-play models. What about guild staff? Ah. How fares the port? Well, it's in shambles, isn't it? Trade routes are... By the way, that's mostly a knock on free-to-play. I'm fine with the Junkmonger doing this. I'm not fine with it, but, like, I understand why he's doing it. He's doing it out of, like, an actual necessity. I'm pretty sure. The trade routes are open once more now that the danger has passed, certainly, but no small number of merchants have had to sell their ships to make ends meet in the short term. Add to that the sailors we lost in the final days, and it's little wonder the flow of exports is no more than a pitiful trickle. Kalzal and his consortium were still with it. Kalzal really left a gap there. If he and his consortium were still with us, I'm sure he'd have found a way to turn our fortunes around. Now, that was a man who got things done, God's rest his soul. So this is really what Mazio was asking for something. I was just too foolish to hear it. You spoke with local figures and gained an understanding. Okay, yeah, so it's really like a financial infrastructure that they need and like a trade support for trade. Stinian. It seemed my stint on Vritra's Brack did not go unnoticed. I couldn't take 2 steps before another Thavnarian was thanking me profusely for saving their home. I'm glad you're getting that recognition, even if you were probably a grumpy buns about it. Ah, my advisor's return. I've just made it back myself. Why do you retain this vessel now that your true form is known? You could have flown across the island in a fraction of the time. He was nervous enough about people noticing him and being intimidated. I think he wants to be as little, as unobtrusive a presence as possible. I think even being in this form is probably a big step for him. Be that as it may, yep, the sight of a massive creature descending from the sky can be startling to say the least, and there are few places I can enter comfortably without risk of flattening some cart or stall. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's rough. Fair enough. Yeah, Estinian just finds dragons beautiful, and I wouldn't be surprised if Estinian went full-on Shiva, like full-on Saint Shiva, and like got engaged to a dragon. I wouldn't be surprised. I think he has that level of admiration and respect for them that like he could see. Let me move past this really quickly. As for my inquiries, the people of Palakistan were unanimous in their reply. In my head, I was seeing where that line of thought could go, and none of it was anywhere good. They are surviving. Resources were stretched to the limit when refugees were pouring in, but they persevered with some assistance from Yedlamad. From what I understand, they have always been an independent community, hunters and foragers and the like, and I was assured that the jungle provides for their needs, for the most part. Palakistan has weathered the disaster better than most, it seems. I myself heard news good and bad. The quarrymen were cautiously optimistic, having just... Right, so the giant skull was like that mine in the north of the zone. Having just sold a full wagon of giant skull to a foreign trader. But such visitors are few and far between. Yeah, that's the same thing we heard, where, like, the best moments they have are moments of, like, rare influx of foreign trade. So I think he's going to have to do something to spur that again. Such visitors are few and far between. Compared to our best years, the weight of stone leaving Thavnar has been light indeed. Our nation is small and isolated, its prosperity dependent on a steady stream of exports. We must identify any obstacles to the flow of trade so we begin working to remove them. Tell me, what did you learn in Akyali and Yedlamad? Yeah, the same thing, basically. I see. Without a dedicated buyer, the average fisherman must struggle to offload his daily catch. Which is why I believe we should first address the lack of ships. And I'm actually just glad that the final days didn't cause, like, an environmental catastrophe. Because they could have gone, like, well, all the meteors crashing down and the lack of ether and whatnot all corrupted the fish, and now there's nothing there. So it could have been worse, at least. We should first address the lack of ships and shortage of able-bodied sailors in Yedlamad. I am reminded of a child I spied as I made my way back to the palace. His father lost at sea when the beast sunk their vessel. So many variations of the same tragic tale repeated over and over. So many lives lost. We're gonna see the waif? Yeah. One of many, many. Enough grief to drown in if we let ourselves be overcome. But we will not. Ukushu, Estinian, I will consider the perspectives you've brought me and devise a plan to help my people confront this adversity. Come, I would like you to be in attendance when I announce the proposal to my assembled functionaries. You're already locked it in? Wow, nice job. He's got, like, dragon brain. such a cool design.
I thank you for your attendance.
I love how they're covering up the other eye socket.
The riches the Radiant Host have retrieved were hoarded in Al-Zadar's name. A fortune I set aside for a future day of need. And lo, that day hath come. May
Yep.
it aid our wounded city in reclaiming its vibrancy and vigor. In better times, I would leave such a task to our capable Ahawan. God's rest his soul.
I wonder if he's gonna name a replacement as like a non-Reacher head of state.
Finding myself bereft of his counsel in the here and now, I will assume the responsibilities of mine office directly. Firstly, the treasure shall be sold for more convenient currency. Thence, invested into the trading port of Yedlamad. Our merchants must have their operations restored, their ships rebuilt. Commerce must flow once more.
Okay, so pretty direct, pretty straightforward.
None was spared the tragedy of the final days. Of this, I am well aware.
I'm just looking at Reach's. Poor Reacher. He's still like he still has all those scales ripped off.
But an absence was created by the loss of Karazal's consortium. And by filling it, we provide new means for our fishermen, our artisans, and others to bring their wares to distant markets.
Don't say Hancock. Because I was a little bit afraid that he was
children who were left without family to care for them.
good guy Estinian.
That is a concern which weigheth heavily upon my mind. The simple gift of coin will soon be exhausted, leaving these young souls adrift on the fringes of our society.
And even if you just give him coin, there's still that would make him targets.
A proper solution is needed, one which doth guarantee their welfare for years to come. Thou hast surely seen how other nations rise to meet this challenge, adventurer. What dost thou deem the wisest course?
You're asking Kukushu to devise a foster care system. Good lord. And I will say that as many problems as a foster care system has, I think the problems are lessened when there's a benevolent dragon ready to roast people who abuse it. Not like Reacher's the roasting type, but still. Taxes levy them on trade profits in exchange for your investment. It takes a village, where Idleshire's orphanage was funded through trade and highly coveted goods. Let's go with the latter one. Yeah, because I think Reacher's asking for like a direct example, and this is one that...
We can draw on trading profits to build a new institution. Let us put this idea into practice. A contract shall be written, requiring all who receive of Al-Zadar's treasure to commit a portion of their future earnings towards the running of an orphanage.
There you go. Estinian, beautiful job. Speaking up, I mean.
Such an influential policy is deserving of a worthy name.
I don't know where they're going with this. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can go with Kalzal. Why not honor one of your most successful merchants? I think he'll pick up the hint.
A successful merchant. I believe I see thy reasoning.
I mean, specifically because there's a lot of the time you'll see, like, I'm thinking of, like, the Mets Stadium in New York was originally, like, before the current Citi Field, was Shea Stadium. And it was named after just, like, one of the lawyers who was involved in making it, I think. And, you know, it's not, like, inspiring on its own, but, like, this is a case where Kalzal was, like, a real source of hope and pride.
Kalzal should be remembered.
Yeah.
Not as the blasphemy which terrorized Thavne, but as a hard-working and generous man who brought much wealth to our shores.
Yes.
Do any among you object to this proposition? Many here lost loved ones to the beasts.
I think you know that, like, I think everyone here knows that it was never Kalzal's fault. It was basically, it was as if a disease came and took him, and that disease, like, was contagious. It's not like it was his fault that he got diseased.
In that time of strife, any one of us could have broken. Any one of us may have been taken by despair. When I think of Kalzal, I feel no hatred. Only a stinging regret that we could not save him as well.
By the way, I really love the color scheme, the guards and the people around here, that black and green that they have going.
Isn't that right, men?
This bodes well for that boy. Mirad, was it? Perhaps he can cut ties with that shady peddler.
I hope so.
Then let it be done. Henceforth, this initiative shall be known as the Kalzal Foundation.
Sorry, just a second. What is it, sir?
Nabdeen, thou art to assemble a patrol and ensure that no child in this city liveth in squalor.
What a concept.
Clerks, see to the management of our funds and make haste. Our citizens must not suffer a day more than is necessary.
Did he call them Clarks? That's like an older... I've heard that term used before, like clerks pronounced as Clarks before, but I can't remember where.
Side by side in pursuit of a brighter morrow. Reminded of Ishgard.
Yeah. Much better color, much cooler color scheme than Ishgard, but Ishgard was gorgeous in its own kind of more austere way. Thank you for putting forth Kalzal's name. Those lives he enriched will take comfort in seeing his legacy honored. You will forgive me for not speaking sooner, but I bear a message from Archon Ishtola. She asks that you meet her at the High Crucible at your earliest convenience. Ooh, she had a breakthrough with the gate thingy? Understood, thank you. Ishtola must have finished her study of the Voidgate. Shall we hear what she has to say, then? Varshan, I will go with you. Oh. Yeah, he can't really sneak up on people when he's in dragon form, can he? I thought the Satrap would be too busy setting up the foundation. My clerks have been the well-oiled cogs of this administration since before Ahewan assumed the office. They understand what needs to be done. Varshan knows how to delegate, I respect that. And I am curious to learn what conclusions your Archon has reached concerning the gate's unique construction. As you wish. Allow me to lead the way, Your Excellency. I like that it looked like he was talking to me for that. I don't mind if Estidian calls me His Excellency. My Excellency? My Excellency.
Right, here we all are.
You discovered something new.
I took a closer look at that device. I was able to determine how it keeps the Voidgate sealed, but not how it might instead be employed to expand the opening. For that, I would need to reference the technique developed by Vritra's alchemists, no records of which appear to have survived the intervening years.
I imagine he wanted to keep it as like a real top secret, because it's, from his perspective, it was the kind of thing that could probably be only used for mischief once he decided he couldn't do it.
We know this, so why have you sent for us? Have you learned aught of value or not?
Justinian getting sassy.
Patience, good sir. One must introduce the subject before launching into specifics. From what we understand, travel between worlds is accomplished by passing through the nebulous rift which exists between them.
Right.
Picture, if you will, the moment you were called to the first.
The moment, like, flying through the crystals, like reaching out with all the memory crystals around me.
You touched a focus of some kind to help the Exarch pinpoint your location. His summoning spell then channeled the energies of the Crystal Tower to begin your journey to his world.
I'm with you. We set up an anchor point.
The magics tore a hole in the wall separating source and shard, and cast you into the intervening nothingness.
Yes, I still don't quite understand why why our memories were around us, like as crystals.
In that place, the laws of nature hold no sway.
Okay, I can buy that. Or different laws of nature
Yet
probably
even
hold sway.
through this realm of temporal and spatial instability, you were borne safely to your destination in the first.
Yes.
The feat that guided you across such an unimaginable distance, both physical and metaphorical, was nothing short of a miracle.
Okay.
Then what of the many Voidsent found in the source? Who guides them here, and how?
Oh. That's a good question.
An excellent question.
Maybe the... Thank you. I mean, I agree. I wonder if something about the source is, like, attractive, is, like, magnetic, where the source... Where while you need someone to cast you somewhere else, something about coming towards the source is, like, much easier, is, like, the source automatically acts as, like, a pull to all around it, like, trying to get the shards and things from the shards back.
Though there are several methods by which the Void's denizens might intrude upon our world, the rituals of summoning are the most typical.
There's a lot of Voidsent in this world. Are they all come from rituals of summoning, though? Maybe.
For example, let us consider the Gargoyle, a creature of middling power. To call upon such an entity, the prospective summoner must force open a Voidgate.
Right.
The portal lasts but a moment and is relatively small, allowing only an imp or other lesser being to squeeze through with their physical body intact.
By the way, quick prediction. I don't know where this is going, but I'm going to make a super early, totally groundless prediction that one of the next jobs that's going to be introduced is going to be I hope it's a geomancer. Geomancer is one of my favorite jobs historically, like in 3 and 5, but I wouldn't be surprised if they made like a ritualist, like a job, like a caster job of some kind. Relying on, like, if we find a way to do this in a controlled setting, the way that I do, maybe it's too close to Reapers in terms of aesthetics. Nah, never mind. I don't know. Anyway.
Our more powerful gargoyle, however, is too large for that. Creating a gate big enough for him would require vast amounts of energy, far beyond the reserves of any one mortal practitioner.
So this is the perspective from the 13th, I guess.
Instead, 'tis far more common to bring over only the entity's soul. We had a taste of that ourselves when a certain exarch dragged us to the first.
I wonder if we'll ever go to the 13th, like, in a longer-term way. Like, beyond just the World of Darkness raid, and
just as our bodies remained in our world, the Void Sense physical form is left behind in the 13th.
Okay. I never even thought of that. They must hear their own throw wide the gates. Have their own throw wide the gates moments.
Once at its destination, the summoned soul is granted a temporary shell to inhabit. In the gargoyle's case, a stone effigy has proven a suitable vessel.
So the gargoyles we see here are like stone rentals, basically, and not... Okay, that's why it looks fleshy. Okay. So it uses that as a baseline to, like, form a body, but it's still basically stone. It's not its true body, and for all we know, it could look totally different on their side, right?
Wait. You said that Voidsent must be called here deliberately by someone in the source, reeled in like a fisherman with his catch.
That seemed unlikely to me just due to the quantity of them, but I could be... I could be mistaking gameplay for canon. Like, the fact that there's so many, like dungeon mobs makes me... And, like, just Voidsent wandering around zones and Voidsent ads and stuff makes me wonder if there's that many summoners and that many statues, but I think I might be mixing up gameplay with gameplay mechanics with story.
Exactly. For a being to navigate the chaos of the rift, with or without form, there must needs be a guiding agent on the other side.
Why do they even want to come here? To sup on ether, I think? Something like that?
When the hordes poured forth from Alag's Great Gate, it was the technologists who drew them through. Though to my knowledge, planar fissures are in essence natural passages between our world and the void, which require no such guidance to traverse.
Wormholes, stable wormholes.
The source and the 13th so fragile. So much so that it often tears open of its own accord.
And even the explanation about... Right, so it's not the case that you always need a summoner. Like, sometimes there are more stable sources that they could just find. And there was that theory before about, like, well, maybe it's like a clock and maybe the source is close to the 13th and the 1st, but those portals weren't coming between here and the 1st, but maybe it's also because the 13th, unlike even if the distance is the same, maybe the 13th, because it was ripped apart so brutally, like maybe it's just a much weaker boundary.
I believe solving that mystery is key to understanding travel between the source and its reflections.
And how do you intend to get your answers?
No, the danger is too great.
Perhaps, but what some call danger, others think of as adventure.
I don't think he was saying... I thought he wasn't saying the danger to us would be too great. I thought he was saying, like, the danger to his city would be too great. But, I mean, apparently not, judging by the smiles and feel-good music.
Listening to my tale, never mind that the means to expand the gate has been lost to the ages. Even could you force the portal wide enough, you would be greeted by an army of murderous horrors the very instant you step through.
So maybe we bring an alliance raid? Maybe that's where the alliance raids are?
I assure you I was most attentive. And I agree that to go alone would be certain death.
It's certainly smelling alliance raidy.
But if I were to bring along one who has already braved the 13th and humbled the cloud of darkness, well, I imagine my chances would be much improved.
To be fair, I think I'm tied with the Cloud of Darkness. I beat her here, but I still have not beat her in Final Fantasy XI. That was my last experience in that game was failing to her in the Seekers of Adoulin expansion, when I couldn't find anyone else to help me beat her and I console her with my trusts. Count me in. So much for taking it easy. No, we're going to be positive. We've given her enough sass, this quest line. How that's not an emote is beyond me.
You might say that. Once again, I put my life in your ever-reliable hands.
I like that they animated the kneel down for this for the Lalafell.
As much as I would like to march straight back to the Voidgate, there is the small matter of being unable to open it without the Satrap's personal authority.
I mean, but we still haven't gotten past the idea of how we get through it, right? We said we still can't expand it.
As I've said before, I will grant you and yours any boon you choose to name, provided it does not endanger my people.
Right.
You have my word that we will take every precaution. Not a single void scent will be allowed to threaten Radzatan, assuming we manage to expand the portal in the first place.
Okay, so Stola is basically just asking for permission to try this. She's not saying we have a strategy we're going to go through. She's just saying we'd like to try this because we think we can see what's on the other side and explore this more and be adventuresome. Okay.
You have a plan.
Actually, I had hoped you might help us with that. I presume the alchemists you retained supplied you with some explanation of their methodology.
That they did. House Daymir was overseeing the project.
Daymir.
Test. Sorry.
Ah, yes. The family associated with the great work.
Oh, okay. The name rang 0 bells for me. I'm sure I heard about them, but I've a bad memory.
I did not fully comprehend the theory, but their research began with a void scent which had slipped through the fissure. After a thorough examination, they created an arcane simulacrum possessed of similar qualities. A man-made void scent, if you will. It was apparently indispensable in their efforts to enlarge the gate.
A man-made void scent?
Like a clone? Interesting.
Yes. Being great admirers of the Archons, House Daymir submitted detailed notes to Charlene's official committee. They expected praise and accolades for their simulacrum, and were thus devastated to be informed that their work had been classified as prohibited material.
I'm not surprised it was going to be considered prohibited. I mean, they created a void scent. Like, that's generally not great. I understand that it has applications, but
those notes might still be stored in a forbidden archive somewhere. Not Google, of course, since that library had yet to be built. Which leaves us with...
what's the other? I know I can just click to see it, but what's the other archive? Is it in Labyrinthos? Oh, Numenon. With the restricted section of Numenon. Raha's favorite place to sneak around. Yeah, let's talk behind his back. Let's tease him a little bit. This is good-natured.
Indeed. Numenon's restricted stacks may very well hold a copy. In which case...
I guess Labyrinthos came later, right? Okay. They're doing a really good job, this expansion, of avoiding one of the issues that plagued Stormblood.
You anticipate needing help to reach the high shelves. I see myself being of little use. Go on ahead. I still need to find Mirad and tell him about the Kalzal Foundation.
Okay, but Yeah, they're avoiding one of the problems that plagued Stormblood of having, like, weirdly disparate stories for its two zones. And I think this is just doing a much better job. And the Shadowbringers did too. It was a problem kind of unique to Stormblood.
Let us be on our way as well.
That proud Lalafell march.
They are resolved to venture into the void. Do I sit idly by?
I don't blame you for sitting idly by. I mean, you're like, you have a lot more responsibilities than we do back here. I mean, I think the answer you're going to come up with is no, I don't sit idly by, but I would say it's not really I don't think it's something that's a bad decision to not jump in. Dola. We're to enter Numenon's restricted archives with a minimum of fuss. We must secure the permission of the Forum. First, however, we shall need to enlist the cooperation of a member to broach the matter on our behalf. Who do you think might be inclined to assist us? I think friggin' anyone. We're like saviors in this place. Anyone will be able to help us. Look at that wee Aya minion. No one springs to mind. I mean, I think, what's his name? Fortuno jumps to mind. What if Scholar Monteshane? He did come to Graha's defense during the inquiry, after all. I honestly think pretty much, I don't think we need him as much, but yeah, sure. It's settled. Let us head to Phenomenon and see if he's willing to help us once more. Ishtola, I apprenticed to Master Matoy at the age of 7 and labored under her tutelage for a full decade. Never had the chance to attend the studium. Neither did Thancred, as I recall. Soon after Master Louis Sois took him in off the streets, he was put in the care of another Archon. His was a rigorous and practical education in the arts of espionage and survival. Yeah, he had his own, like, little Black Widow training montage going on. I sometimes wonder what my life might have been like had I pursued studies here instead. Very different. Tea at the last stand after a day of lectures. I have a hard time imagining that kind of life. I mean, maybe, but like, she's so much more, I don't know, engaged, I guess? Like, I don't know. I have a hard time imagining Ishtola as in pure academia. Oh, that does sound lovely. Afternoons with friends spent sipping tea and debating theories. I've met friends in academia. I think it's more like afternoons spent grading while your cat tries to bother you. Still, I wouldn't give up my time with Master Matoya for the world. The dank cave I studied in was about as far from the bright, airy halls of academia as one could... And she's talking more about being a student, not about, like, living her whole life here. As far as from the bright, airy halls of academia as one could get. There was a wondrous, magical childhood nonetheless. A literal sorcerer's apprentice. Hey, Monteshane. Monteshane. Ah, visitors, and quite esteemed ones at that. What may I do for you? Stola, pray forgive the intrusion, Scarlark, but we were hoping you might help us secure permission to enter Numenon's restricted archives. Oh, no further forays into the stacks this time. that look on that look on your face. Like, oh, yeah, oh, that. I applaud this newfound sense of propriety, yet in all this wide world of comparative serenity, what so compels you to disturb a vault of forbidden wisdom? Fascinating. I had no idea such a technique existed. I would have been surprised if you had. If my assumption is correct, the research left behind by House Daymir has lain dormant in Charlene's archives for many centuries. Monteshane, and if you unearth this void research, what then? Surely you don't intend to cross over into the void. That is in fact precisely what we intend. To what end, pray tell? To develop a method of traversing the rift for one, that I might keep my word to a distant friend. Ishtola and Runar sitting in a tree. Or climbing up a tree, maybe? Sentiment aside, I have journeyed to the end of existence. I have felt, heard, and thought endless... Think, hear, feel, think. Yeah, I've heard, felt, and thought endlessly about the truth of our world and the echo of its future. And yet I want to understand everything, to unravel it down to its very last secret. I cannot tell you how happy I am with them going with this direction, with... And this is something I hope that World of Warcraft is doing for its next expansion. It sounds like it is, where it's not... We're not being impelled to action by another apocalyptic level threat. I mean, eventually maybe, but... It's just, this is her goal. This is what she wants to do. She's exploring. She's adventuring. What scholar worthy of the name wouldn't force open a Voidgate or two if grand revelation was the promised reward? Monteshane, ha ha, marvelous! An audacious proposal worthy of Master Matoya herself. And after hearing the whys and the wherefores, I for one do not believe you would use the knowledge for ill. I see no reason to present your request, not to present your request for the forum's consideration. Excellent. Yeah, because it is a dangerous request, even from allies. Although your petition would be better received if you also had the support of another well-placed acquaintance. Is this where we get Fortuno? Why, Master Fortuno, of course. He can hardly ignore an earnest request from his dear children's most treasured comrades. At this point, I actually agree with Monteshane. I was hesitant to approach him directly, but there is no denying that having Master Fortuno on our side would tip the balance in our favor. Very well, we will pay a visit to the Levier estate and plead our case. Ah, one last thing before you go. I would consider it a personal favor if you might share with me the discoveries you make in the void. My appetite for knowledge is every bit as insatiable as yours, I'd wager, so if you could see your way to indulging an old man's curiosity... Of course, Scholark, we'll be sure to pass on any revelations. Yeah, that's an easy answer. Watch, this is all setting up Monteshane's villain arc. He's gonna use the knowledge from the Void to enact his secret plan for world domination. He's playing the long game. House Leve, your butler. Ah, Mistress Kukushu, Mistress Alize, how may I be of service? We've come to speak with Master Fortuno. Is he home by any chance? Yes, the master is in residence. I shall inform him that he has guests. Is that what tails are on a coat? Is that what coattails literally are? Maybe it is. Fortuno, well, Ameliance would invite you inside for tea, but I assume this is not a social visit. You have some matter of import to discuss? Then pray proceed. You have my full attention. I really would be surprised if he gives hard pushback to this. Well, I suppose I should praise you for following the proper protocols this time around. Scholar Monteshane expressed much the same sentiment. I assure you, will not attempt to circumvent the forum's authority again. Unless it is absolutely necessary, of course. Did you really have to add that last part in, Ishtola? Of course. You do understand that the restricted are... Like, I agree, but I feel like... I don't know, I feel like that's not the most political answer, political disclaimer to toss in right now. You do understand that the restricted archives are restricted for good reason, yes? No pressing need exists, then why risk the consequences of employing this forbidden knowledge? For a brother who misses his sister. She was his guardian and his friend. For a brother who misses his sister. He was his guardian and his friend, a selfless hero who crossed the rift between worlds to save her homeland from... It's been a couple days since I played the last session. Yes, Ritra. Who crossed the rift between worlds to save her homeland from horror and suffering. But the brother has given up on thoughts of reunion. He spends his efforts elsewhere, watching over a people yet healing from the flames of the final days, loyal to his duty, while betraying the longing in his heart. I'm glad you gave that answer over the Runar. You want to see Runar's face again. There's no vital mission, perhaps, reuniting these siblings, but it feels a worthy cause to pursue all the same. As one who feared losing his own loved ones and spent years in research to prevent it, surely you appreciate how painful such a separation must be. Ishola, you are one crafty kitty. Reflections are still very much a mystery to us. Offering to share your experiences in the first should constitute a fair exchange for our cooperation. Easy. Do not celebrate just yet. The four must still be convinced. That's right, but I'm not super worried about that. I will be a surprised cold run if, like, after all this, they're like, nope, we lost 60 to 40, or 60 to... I forgot how many people are actually in the forum. I will add your request to the list of today's deliberations and deliver the decision to you at the Baldesian Annex. Okay. Sounds fair and reasonable. A mission in Mordona. Is this a new thing too? I feel like that's new. I really don't remember seeing that before, so that's probably a new unlock. A lively debate between Ishtola and Kakushu going on right now. So, what did the forum decide? Monteshane. Put it bluntly, Master Matoya has burned some bridges here in Charlie, and it's salted the earth for good measure. I am not surprised. When it became clear that her student was the petitioner, well, no few members voiced their discontent. Then the chamber was reminded, in no uncertain terms I might add, of the incredible debt we owe you and your companions. Portion of advocating strongly for us. That served to silence the grumbles and stiffen a few spines, and it was to agree that allowing you entry to the archives was the least we could do in return. That is wonderful news. Thank you for speaking on our behalf. Yes, well, as I'm sure you are aware, this permission was not extended lightly. Forbidden knowledge is to be treated with the utmost caution, and there will be repercussions if it is not. I wish you well in your endeavor and bid you good day. Goodbye, Sundar Dad. Ever the same, that one. Uncompromising? Aye, but that very stoicism is exactly what Charlian needed to guide it through not one but two exoduses. If only he hadn't been such a dick to his kids. Much appreciated, Monteshane. If I were but 5 years younger, I'd cast aside my lectern and join you on your adventures in a heartbeat. You could do it if you wanted to. Yola, that went rather well, I think. As a child, I dreamed up any number of schemes for getting my hands on these forbidden tomes, and now I can simply walk through the door. Our focus will be on finding House Daymir's research notes, of course, but the thought of so much knowledge at my disposal has me feeling a little giddy. I'm glad. Again, I'm gonna fight the temptation to go and see what this thing is, because I want to continue with the, and keep going with the MSQ for this session. Monteshane. Restricted reading. You'll be heading directly to the archives from here, I presume? You presume correctly. Then you'll want to speak with the index page when you arrive. It's been instructed to grant you access to the restricted section. Okay. You find the knowledge you seek. Shall we? We absolutely shall. Into the Numenon. Think of the set of instructions I laughingly imagined may actually exist, but yalms away from where you found me napping. If I had known of Alzadal III's exploits sooner, I could well have saved myself days of research. Even a children's book might have pointed me in the right direction. To achieve the impossible, one must needs be flexible of mind and look beyond conventional wisdom. A lesson I had already learned, but clearly not taken to heart. We all learn. You're good. Are we talking to this page? No, we're talking to the index page. Archon Ishtola and guest identified. Do you wish to proceed into restricted archives? Yes, Mammoth. Follow me if you would. Watch your step, and please note that the use of naked flames is discouraged. Yeah, you don't want to burn up any, like, ancient knowledge. Listen to this! I want to be here so badly. I love this music. This piano is... The pace of this piano is wild.
If House Damir's notes are to be found anywhere, it will be here. Let us begin.
Like, I don't know anything about music formally, but this is like a chaotic little tempo. This is all over the place. That seems both unstable and amazing. That bookshelf, I really want that. Or want to be somewhere around it. Shola, so many books to yet to read. Yes, we're here for one specific volume. You needn't remind me. I know, but I get your desire. Man, this place looks cool. Alright, we'll start with Untitled Journal. Untitled Goldsmith's Journal. Today in a world not my own, I met the most beautiful void-born creature. He was so unlike her ravenous brethren, eyes blazing not with hunger but trembling like a candle's flame threatening to flicker out at any moment. I wonder if she is even the proper word. Such distinctions seem inconsequential, insignificant even. All that matters is the love I feel for this exquisite transcendent being. Did you just meet a succubus? I don't know. Though you are tempted to read more, this does not seem to be the volume you're seeking. That must be what it is, right? The weighty tome. In the year Primal Disquisitions. Not sure what a disquisition is. Like an inquisition, but like the opposite? I don't know. In the year 1564 of the 6th Astral Era, the Amal-Jah summoned Ifrit, their patron god. Accounts describe this being as a gigantic lizard-like being with a potent command of fire-aspected magics. If we consider primal summoning as an act fueled by faith and prayer, it's unsurprising, if not unexpected, that the resulting deiform entity should manifest the appearance and powers with which it is attributed by its worshippers. Yeah. What then might emerge from the ether should one who believes in an almighty omniscience attempt the same ritual? Would the scholar himself grace us with his presence, some other embodiment of divine sagacity? I mean, the primals that we've seen are all like... We've seen some of the more positive. We've seen like the good Garuda and the good... what's his name? Revelry! That guy. Susano. So I guess... Yeah, I don't think it would be an embodiment of divine sagacity. I mean, I guess you could attempt to like summon the 12 as primals, but I assume that they would just, you know, try to temper you like, I don't know. I guess it depends on the manner in which you summon them, because the thing that makes them temper you is like the fact that they're summoned in times of need and panic. Is that it? I don't remember. Could this man-made god truly be all-knowing? And if it were, whence would such knowledge arise? I don't think it would be all-knowing. I myself have many questions concerning... I think it might have some of the same aspirations, but its power would still be limited. I myself have many questions concerning the nature of the ancient world. With no spell to transport me back to the days of old, could I instead summon a being possessed of encyclopedic wisdom of every age? Yet with no means to verify its pronouncements, how could one be certain they were true? Though your mind spins with the possibilities discussed therein, this is not the volume. Yeah, that's a cool idea, though. Leather-bound log. Oh, here we go. Epiphanies of House Daimir. Following pages detail an advanced method for manipulating rift-spanning apertures divided by Nuhashan, the 9th patriarch of House Daimir. We present these research notes to the faculty of Charlene's Studium as both a token of our friendship and an expression of our boundless admiration. All right, we found it. Jump. Have something to show me. You'd like to show me, do you? My apologies. I'd flipped open but a single book and was absorbed by the contents. Was it the succubus book? Well done, Kakushu. I think you may have found our prize. You're a prize, Ishtola. Music's getting more controlled now. A
Yes,
bird on it?
the ether signature is unmistakable. I've felt the traces of House Damia's resonance many times at the Great Work. Time to see what all the fuss was about.
Yeah, it looks like a bird. That must be just their house symbol. Exciting, right? And then the music is like goes from scary. Of course, Atomos would be involved.
There exist entities with the power to call forth their brethren from beyond. The species known as Atomos, however, is uniquely prodigious in this regard.
Yes, it is.
From its distended maw, it can expel an endless procession of void-born creatures. A talent which sorely tested the Radiant Host in its battles against these abominations. Surmising that the entity itself was acting as a Voidgate, we endeavored to capture a small specimen and subsequently examine its physiological structure.
You got like a baby Atomos?
Our findings reveal that the Atomos had absorbed a planar fissure into its own flesh, which it could expand at will into a functioning gate.
Okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty friggin' cool.
Upon further analysis, we identified an ethereal wave pattern emitted during this process. A pattern we were able to emulate by passing crystal-stored ether through a specially designed prism. We proceeded to embed said prism into an arcane simulacrum, thus completing what we have dubbed our artificial Atomos.
You didn't just make... I thought you were just making like an artificial imp or something, but no, you went ham on this. I just wanted to look at this again. Upon further analysis, we identified an ethereal wave pattern emitted during the process. Okay, so there's some kind of pattern that was associated with the portal in action. They emulated the pattern by passing crystal stored ether through a specially designed prism. I guess that's like to make it like dark aligned or something. I don't quite know there. It's not that important, but I mean, maybe, God, for all I know, that's the basis of the next expansion is going to rely on that little tidbit, but...
How could I have been so blind to the possibilities? This species, not to mention its ability to summon void scent, has been discussed among academics for years now. Just before the advent of the 7th Umbral Calamity, we received reports of Atomos sightings from every corner of Eorzea. Surely you've at least heard the tales.
I have not, but I also wouldn't... The way they're describing it, I wouldn't be surprised if this is like... Wait. Was that how... Because I saw one of those documentaries about the rise and fall... The fall and rise of Final Fantasy XIV and the end of 1.0, and how at the end... Like, as a final event, they, like, spammed summon monsters. Like, there's the devs just spammed summon monsters at the gates of the cities for the players to fight. Is that what she's referring to? If so, that's incredible. I love how they work in, like, the lore like that.
House Damia went and built a mock Atomos of their very own. I'm not surprised the Archons consigned their work to a restricted archive.
Yeah. Seriously.
It was no easy task. But at last, we've unearthed the volume we've been searching for. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't tempted to stay longer. See what other forbidden titles might be lurking on these shelves?
Yeah, just say we haven't found the book yet.
Ah,
Spend some time here.
but that would be abusing the very special privilege we've been granted now, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Better not.
And I assume that this is sharp. I assume that they have ways to check this sort of thing. Or even if they don't, like I wouldn't, even if there's a chance of that, like I wouldn't risk it. I wouldn't recommend risking it anyway. So yeah, I think that's right. You can come back to the forbidden erotica section later. How are you going to reach the doors? I guess magic. Atlanta beat the Mets 9-6. I just got an alert. Eorzea, the Unending Codex. This I'm gonna be looking at because I don't have a great sense of the geography. Let me just take a look at this. Comprised of Aldenard, the westernmost of the 3 great continents, and its surrounding islands. Aldenard. Sea of Stars, Ilsabard, Authard. I guess, is this Aldenard then? No. Dravania, Abolethia, Spine, Garabania, Thanalin. This is Aldenard, right? This must be Aldenard? No, that... Is Dravania part of Eorzea? I thought... For some reason, I thought Eorzea was more narrow than this. Wait, is this whole... Maybe this whole thing is Eorzea? I don't know. Well, maybe you should keep reading the thing that's literally talking about Eorzea. All right, the westernmost of the 3 great continents. So no, it's... Eorzea's real is much narrower. The realm of Eorzea has throughout history been the cradle of several unique civilizations. Often said it's been embraced by the gods in reference to the 12, the pillars. They're going back to the 12 again. The pillars upon which... This is the 3rd reference of late where they've talked about the 12. There was the book up there. There was Emmett Selk's preview, where he was like, how much do you know about your 12? And now there's this. I guess this is just a core part of Eorzea, of Eorzea, but it's still... They are coming back to it. And has been my prediction for where they're going to go, like, for the next major storyline, like for 7.0. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're setting up, like, a 12-related, over a huge 12-related arc. Yeah, so all other stuff. Nothing super wild there. This is interesting. The 7th Umbral Calamity... So, devastation followed by prosperity. Wait. So, I am a bit confused on that. So, the Umbral eras are marked... Oh, no, never mind. Okay, no, I'm not confused anymore. So, the Astral eras... Wait, the Astral eras were preceded by a calamity? So, shouldn't it be the other way around? Doesn't the prosperity come before the calamity hits and the devastation is after it? A little bit weird. Well, I'm probably just misinterpreting that. Following on the... Okay, so the Calamity of Wind was first. Lightning was second. Fire brought droughts. Earth brought earthquakes. And ice brought an endless winter that ended at some point. And I know it's just a... Not a... What's the term? Not apocryphal. It's... What's the term when you exaggerate something for effect? I forgot. And then water. With all the elements accounted for, they thought that would be it. The 7th Umbral Calamity... Yeah, alas. So then there was meteor. Yeah, what was that element? Bahamut... I mean, I guess Mega Flare is like a... That Bahamut uses just mechanically is usually a non-elemental attack. Was there a particular element associated with this? Or is it like the calamity of darkness or something? I don't know. Anyway, Ishtola. Much as I would love to start crafting the Atomos, I'm afraid this is far outside my field of expertise. Fortunately, we know a Hanish alchemist who would be delighted to involve herself in our House Daemir project. Our business here is concluded for the moment. Please pass on our regards to the forum. That's right, we're going to go to, what's her name? Elephant Woman. She's fantastic. Your message will be conveyed. Hatred mode disabled. Okay. And should you wish to indulge in more forbidden literature. Okay. Alright, we'll see you later, Paige. Nidana, that's her name. Alright, back to Thavnair. Back to the Great Work. We're in Thavnair. Back to the Great Work. I wanted to look at this map again because I feel like I'm being a dunkus about this. This is land, right? This is just cloud covering land. There's 3 continents. Authored, this is like 1 continent. This thing in the middle is the 2nd continent, so this is Eorzea's continent. So Dravania is part of Eorzea, right? But it consists of the outside islands. So is Sharlayan part of Eorzea? I get that Garlemald is not, but is Sharlayan part of Eorzea? I guess it is. It has to be by that description. Ishtola, all these sallow, sleep-deprived faces, but their eyes still burn with fiery zeal. Some things never change. I love the Thavnarians. I love the great work. I like a lot of this expansion. Most of it. All of it? Nidana, Ishtola tells me you're pursuing a most fascinating study and that you want me to be a part of it. Very much so. Ishtola, I have no doubt you'll be interested. This research log should speak for itself. Make me a demon. Will it now? By the sisters, this is the mark of House Daemir. I never even knew such a work existed. You should. It was sequestered in Numenon's restricted archives, after all. It was, but that means every word within is forbidden knowledge. A forbidden tome, filled with forbidden research, and you put it right into my unsuspecting hand. I can hardly wait to read it. To think the Daemir were developing such marvelous techniques so long ago. How many innovations have been lost over the centuries, I wonder? Stola, now that you've glanced over the notes, what say you to helping us build a new mock Atomos? I say yes, 1,000 times yes! I love how excited she is. Work on a Daemir project that even had the redoubtable scholars of Sharlayan trembling in their sandals. No alchemist of the great work could resist. Stola, you're a woman after my own heart. She really is. These are a great pair. Oh, I suppose I should ask, what do you mean to do with this big-mouthed simulacrum once we've built it? Yeah, fair question. So, there's a secret Voidgate, you say, and it's sealed in the ruins at the bottom of the Bounty. Today is a day of revelations indeed. If the purpose of our man-made Atomos is to expand this hidden portal, I will need to see it for myself. Manipulating rift-spanning apertures is not the sort of thing you want to attempt without first taking into account every single factor. Yeah, just because you're excited doesn't mean you're gonna throw off the safety brakes. Then by all means, accompany us to the vault. I plan to lead us back there shortly, once we've finished gathering the components I require. Yeah, kind of a little cocked head dog look. Sharlayan's markets provided the raw aquamarine and pure water crystals, but I might need help obtaining a small quantity of astrally infused water. Adana, for such a liquid you need to go no further than the font of Maya. The ascetics of old once favored the place for their meditations, and the water which pools there is now known to enliven the flow of ether. Stola, that sounds perfect. If you'd be so kind as to fill a flask at this pool, I will petition Vreecher to join us. The idea I have in mind won't amount to much without his authority to command the Voidgate. Shall we be about it, then? We meet back here anon. What a good trio we are. Nidana, there is no greater joy than having a new puzzle to ponder. Love her. Absolutely love her. And we're back. It was just inspecting a node. Varshan. Archon Shtola requested that I join you, but of her plans she offered scant detail. She's fly like that. Estinian. The boy Murad was glad to hear the news of the Foundation. It means a new life for him and his sister. I'm glad. Let me take a look at this. Astral aspected water. Flask filled with astrally infused water scooped from a strangely specific point in the depths of the font of Maya. Yeah, there was only one point that was marked on the map, but I'm sure we could have gotten it from anywhere. Nadana. Oh, I forgot to mention. The font of Maya attracts aggressive wildlife, and you should watch out for them when you go there next time. My bad. Shtola. You have that flask for me? I do. Yes, this should suffice. Thank you, Kakushu. You're quite welcome. Void theory. Shtola's eager to depart for the vault. Look who came across. Estinian seemed in need of diversion, and we in turn may have need of his lands. Right then. Now that our little party is assembled, let's make our way to the ruins. Will we have need of Matya's boat again? Oh, good question. Not this time. Oh, Varshan, not this time. Once Ishtola informed me of your destination, I arranged for a vessel to be made ready at Akyali. Your Excellency is ever the gracious host. Shall we? Do let's. Let's go open a Voidgate, or make an Animos. Veteran Radiant, the ship is yours to command. Varshan, our thanks. We shall set sail at once. Nadana, oh, this is so exciting! Al Zadal's legacy, to see the truth of a legend with mine own eyes. All aboard for the treasure vault, and we're off to Weaver's Warding. So this is the final boss room, right? Yeah. Varshan, he laid waste to them ere I could utter a single word. He laid waste to them ere I could utter a single word. I don't know what this is referring to. Is this referring to how we beat the Guardians here? But I don't quite get what that's about. Stinian, I thought we cleared this place of constructs the last time we came through. It would seem a few stragglers remain. Ah. Ah. You didn't need to do... Varshan, you should have been more upfront in telling Estinian that they wouldn't attack us. Shtola. Poor Vritra, you really should have spoken with Estinian before we left. I shudder to think what we've cost them in terms of construct materials. Seriously, that was... You know what? I blame Varshan for that. Or Vritra. Varshan.
The ruins alone were impressive enough, but I never dreamed such a treasure lay hidden in the depths of the bounty.
Yeah, this is like an alchemist's dream.
It may have been helpful to know this device existed, Your Excellency.
Get scolded.
My apologies. The gate was a secret I shared with none but my closest advisors. I feared for what might happen should those with ill intentions learn of its existence.
Understandable, but also this was kind of a... No, I feel like understandable, but this was like... If the alchemists could have used this in the final days, like, that was probably a good time to risk it. Just saying. To get the water, the crystal, and the orb thing.
There's something I wish to verify. The NOAA reports claim that a short stint into the void carries little risk of etheric imbalance.
NOAA was the group that was behind the crystal, that was investigating at the Sons of Saint Koinok, the like the Crystal Tower NPCs.
Should one suffer an injury, however, Or if one's expedition drags on longer than intended, that risk becomes significantly greater. Graha theorized that a warding scale would confer protection from the Void's corrupting influence. But I would prefer to test that hypothesis before we set foot in the 13th ourselves.
Smart.
So, this is an experiment of sorts.
Yes, an experiment. Tell me, how would you go about testing the efficacy of the warding scale?
You expose yourself to a bunch of void, and you have a control group. Let's say we summon a D class in here. I've been listening to too many SCPs and reading too much SCP. We summon a D class there to just, you know, eat all the void and just be corrupted, and we use the scale on ourselves as an experiment. Yeah, I think that works. Might as well go myself. Say nothing and look meaningfully at Estinian. Maybe send a familiar. You know what? I feel like usually I go for the sincere answers. I think not having the weight of another apocalypse over our shoulders is making Kakushu a bit sassier. That's how I'm justifying going for the weirder options. Say nothing and look meaningfully at Estinian.
What? Why are you looking at me like that? Surely you'd not expect me to wriggle through that tiny portal.
I would pay money to try to see that.
We needn't attempt anything so drastic. A small familiar should serve well enough.
Like a pork seed sort of thing?
Now, a lowly imp can navigate a fissure, no matter how narrow. Which means an arcane entity of similar stature should be able to manage the same.
You're a black mage, though. You can't summon any of those. Are you going to job swap to summon a carbuncle?
I hadn't wanted it to come to this, but no other familiars will do, I'm afraid.
Okay. Summoning your Palico or something? Sending your Palico into the void?
I mislike the sound of that. What manner of fiend does she mean to summon?
Something ridiculous.
From ocean rise and cloudbank form, from mountain spring and rainfall storm, from river flow and life be born.
Some kind of watery one?
Water, froth and foam!
Some kind of water spray, like one of those bouncy, like... Oh, no, it's just a watery blob thing. Okay.
Ready your arms. I fear she's been possessed.
I think she had to do...
Now, that was adorable.
It was. That was super cute. She had to get into the spirit of it, I think. She actually has been possessed. I guess? Oh, I know. I thought she turned into that for a second. Look at how expressive they made her eyes.
My first choice. These familiars I conceived of as a child have the best chance of fitting through the gate.
They're like little water mice. They're so cute.
I only wish my younger self had considered a more dignified ending to the creation ritual.
Yeah. God. Oh my God. Imagine if you had to do something that your like 6-year-old self like designed. Oh my God. That's amazing. That's amazing. Do you hear me? That's amazing.
These two should serve as well.
Oh, we have the music from what do you call it? Matoya's Matoya's summon. These look like that, don't they? Wasn't there one of these in the watery area? Wasn't this one of the bosses, or was that a different model?
This one will bear a warding scale.
The other one you're throwing to the void.
And when they return from the 13th, we can observe how the talisman, or absence thereof, has affected the progress of the Void's corruption.
That poor other one.
If I could impose upon you to open the gate. Your Excellency?
Ah, yes, of course.
He's still stunned at the end of that, ritual.
We should also be wary of void scent slipping through while we conduct our experiment. Estinian, you are to keep Nidana safe from harm.
As you say.
You had best be on your guard as well.
Froth and foam. We're not letting her live this down.
Oh, are you volunteering to join the Nixies? I could shrink you down, you know.
I think I can already fit.
Let us begin, shall we?
God.
Nixies, into the void.
Does the voice actress for Ishtola have the voices for the Nixies too? Jovial as this is like a kind of a scary moment for them, isn't it? Nidana, sister, save me. I will never see Ishtola the same way again. Froth and foam indeed. Bring it up constantly. She'll love that. Estinian, I struggle to picture Ishtola as a little girl. Easier to believe she sprang fully formed from one of Master Matoya's cauldrons. A little kitten Ishtola running around would be so cute. We need to wait for a time to ensure any meaningful result. Be patient and keep watch for any intruders. And Varshan? Every time I come here, it reminds me of the dark portal above the Crystal Tower, and the final lash of Ajdaya's tail as she plunged into the void. That does take blunt some of the cuteness off of what just happened. Look at Nidana's, like, excited bouncing around.
I think we've waited long enough. Nixies, return to my side.
Let's see if it's plural. Hey, it worked. The lab rats shouldn't be that cute.
Thank you, little one. You did well.
Oh, the poor thing. Its essence has been irrevocably warped.
What we expected, right?
Out of time. I must reseal the Voidgate.
Yeah, go for it. What did it say? Ugh.
Coming through.
Yeah, it sounds like they're just in constant pain over there. Is that right?
In the name of Alzadal III, I bar this door unto the void.
Those tentacles writhing through the... It really gives you... That was a good job of showing kind of the risks that are involved here. Yeah, literally. This is what I was going to say. What I was saying.
Lesson in the dangers of void gates.
And what of our experiment? I'd say the results speak for themselves.
Yeah,
The
put it at.
undetected Nixie has suffered extensive etheric corruption. As Nidana observed, it's well on its way to becoming a void scent.
Yeah, put it at its misery, if you
The
please.
one merged with the talisman, however, appears unaffected. I sense no changes to its equilibrium.
And I don't know if they actually have feelings. It sure looks like they have feelings, though.
Rest now, little ones.
Hmm.
Graha's theory was correct then.
So it would
It
seem
usually is.
that while our second familiar was untouched by void energies, the talisman itself shows signs of degradation.
That's concerning.
It was, of course, originally designed to shield the soul from primal tempering. It stands to reason that etheric corruption of a different sort would affect it differently.
So it's a good baseline, but it might need like 4 months maybe of tinkering to get it to work right.
We may need to modify the warding scale's design to account for the 13th's uniquely unstable ether.
You've said much of the Void's instability, but my imagination fails me. What manner of place is this broken world?
Yeah, like that's the question I'm really interested in, because like we've seen that it's not just demons roaming wildly. Like like there's Unakalhai, like there's people. There must be civilization, survivors there, people who have education and rituals and give birth and love lives, and there must be like an actual society there. I have to imagine, right?
Ah, my apologies. I forget that not all of us spend our days sequestered in dusty archives. The 13th is a reflection of the source that was drowned in a flood of darkness.
Right.
In Emmett Selk's own words, this tragedy was a result of the Ascians' attempts to force a rejoining. They erred in their haste and made of that world a useless void.
I like them bringing the World of Darkness music into this. That kind of Addams Family violin.
You remember Unakalhai, the unusual child we met during our troubles with the Warring Triad. He explained the fate of the 13th thus. The champions of that ill-fated world used the stone known as Auracite to contain the power of primals.
I'd forgotten this entirely, by the way. Use Auracite to contain primals,
But
okay.
those self-same heroes were gradually corrupted by the Auracite's bleeding energies, transforming into fiends with an endless hunger for ether. By the time anyone thought to oppose them, Light's strength had grown too feeble, and the balance of the 13th tipped into eternal darkness. It was Elidibus, as I recall, who rescued Unakalhai's spirit from his final battlefield. But I wonder if there were others whom the emissary saved from oblivion.
Oh shit, right. There was the woman, the barmaid at the Wandering Stairs, Ardbert's companion, the elven swordswoman. Yeah, the Shadow Keeper. I'd forgotten that she was also from the 13th. And Gaia.
Silva, the adventurer who traveled with the Warriors of Light. And you say she was another of Elidibus's pawns?
I do so say. Had I not mentioned that, my bad.
I see. So Ciela, or rather Silva, was beguiled by the same dreams of heroism as Unakalhai.
A good playbook for Elidibus to go back to.
Own experience? Will you tell us of what you observed during Noah's expedition? I can picture it now. The sunless, Stygian expanse, infested with legions of ether-starved monstrosities. A void in every sense of the word.
So I guess I thought that the excuse me, the third, I guess I'm confused because the 13th was made of void, like presumably before the other worlds, right? Because it was their first experiment. And so before the first astral era. And so and we know that Emmett Selk said that even he would have trouble bringing someone across time and space. And so I guess because Unakalai was still a child, right? So how was Unakalai survive? Because I had assumed there was like civilization that was still living there, but how did Unakalai survive like the thousands and thousands of years? Maybe was he put in like storage or something? I don't know. I'm a bit confused on that, but
described in such lurid detail is exactly why I hesitate to encourage you.
Hmm.
Worry not, great Vritra. Our journey into the 13th is but the first leg of a longer voyage. A voyage that shall lead us to other reflections, to new mysteries and discoveries. And I mean to be there every step of the way.
Is that going to be part of the journey in the future expansions? I wonder. There's just infinite. You could have like one that's like or in here, and then ones that's like in a shard, and then back here, and there's a million ways to do it.
But first, I must focus on refining the warding talisman.
I would delegate. I mean, certainly help with it, but I would let like Nadana take the lead on this.
Then I can begin work on constructing an artificial Atomos.
She does have her own work to do, though.
Or I could if I had the relevant manuals to hand. Might I be so bold as to request access to the Satrap's family archives?
Little dolly zoom going here.
Your Excellency?
Yeah, he's pondering. I don't think he's pondering her request. He's pondering whether to join us in the 13th.
Oh, yes. That can be arranged. I will speak to my officials upon our return.
We will see you back in the city then.
Yeah, she noticed that. He's thinking hard. Yeah, everyone notices that. Estinian noticed that. Everyone noticed that. Up, 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 up. Estinian. Seeing the Void Terrors firsthand was an experience, but I doubt fear of such creatures is at the root of Vritra's hesitation. It is not. A Satrap's duty. Stola ponders the next stage of your preparations to enter the Void. Wasn't that the New World patch or something? I seem to remember that being a thing. I never played that game. It looked interesting enough, but just never played it. Ishtola. Once Nadana succeeds in replicating the Mach Atomos, this door into the 13th will be ours to open. Will you be crossing to the threshold alongside us? I realize this is more my endeavor than yours. Is there any chance he's going to say no? Oh, maybe there is. Stinian, To be honest, I've no interest in visiting the Void myself. Might we discuss this later? There's something I must do first. I like that. I like that he's not immediately on board. I was mistaken. Like he knows that we don't need him to protect us, and he's got his own stuff. Why does everyone insist on being so secretive? I at least had good reason for not wanting to explain my Nixie ritual. Please let him have his own similar version of that ritual. Shall we proceed with our other preparations, then? As we saw, the warding scale can be effective at protecting the bearer from other sources of etheric corruption. Nevertheless, the talisman's durability will need to be improved if it's to withstand the Void's influence for a prolonged length of time. I think that's a problem we can address without involving the brilliant but busy alchemists who created it. Ah, okay. So you thought of that, you just want to avoid that. Who do we know who excels at this kind of structural augmentation? I'm honestly not sure. The Alligans, Garland Ironworks. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'll go with the truth there. What if Garland Ironworks then? They may have an engineer free to assist us. I thought you were talking about something really specific, like it was Susie. Clearly you remember Susie who had structural augmentations on her own cybernetic form. As I recall, Sid himself is no stranger to the void and its volatile energies. I guess he was involved with the World of Darkness quests. With his experienced hand at the helm, I have every confidence that the Ironworks can strengthen the warding scale. Come, let's visit their Operation Ralgar's Reach. Okay. Back to Ralgar's Reach, and boy is it disconcerting to go back to a time before I did this. A second. Sorry about that. The cat wanted to get pet, and not much choice I have in the matter. Not that I would choose anything different. He deserves pets. He's an okay cat. He's okay. He's pretty good. Yeah, it's disconcerting to come back to here to a zone where where it's like full of undone side quests and like triple triad stuff I haven't done. It's such a different way of playing. Junior Ironworks engineer. Kakush, what brings you to the Ironworks? Stola, we have a commission for you and the president, actually, assuming he's available. Okay, yeah, so let's see Sid. And hopefully Nero, because Nero has some good experience with this too, but I'm sure he'll be part of this. Sid, pleasure as always. I hear you have a job for us. Heading into the void to find a lost dragon. It sounds almost pedestrian compared to your last adventure. Honestly, I don't know if you could say anything that would surprise me after Meteon and that bloody mess. Yeah, this is relatively tame compared to that. Alright, let's take a look at this talisman of yours. You said there were signs of degradation. I did indeed. Seems some manner of corrosion is set in around a scratch on its surface, much as the void corruption seeped into Nero through his wounds. In which case, our best bet may be to simply prevent the scale from being damaged in the first place. How might we achieve that? Yeah, and can I apply it to the rest of my gear so I never have to think about mending again? We have a coating agent for strengthening trinkets and the like, but I'd be wary of applying any compound which might upset the scale's delicate alchemical balance, or safer to dress it in armor. As long as we have backups ready to go. We'll construct a protective casing, one utilizing metal alloys with high ethereal conductivity so as to not impede the talisman's primary function. Okay, yeah. Nero has compiled data on the 13th. So I'll have him pitch in with the design just to be sure. I hope you two kids are getting along well. If only it weren't such an ordeal to convince him to follow our safety protocols. I swear, I've never had such a reckless employee. In any case, we may need some time to untangle the particulars. About 4 months. Understandable. We know how busy your schedule is, and the final result will doubtless be worth the wait. The hard part will be ducking Jessie and her constant barrage of demands, while we sneak about doing the fun stuff. We'll see what we can do. It's a weird portrayal of Jessie. Tola, I think we can leave the rest in Sid's capable hands. Let's return to the great work and see how Nadana is getting on with the Monk Atomos. So this patch is a lot of, I mean, post Alzadal's legacy, like this session has been a lot of setup, and I am totally fine with that. Because setup is what leads to the good stuff. But I'd also be lying if I said this patch itself was, like, this part of this patch, I at least, is if I said it were my favorite thing ever. But that's how, it's not surprising. That's how this sort of thing goes. It's also not bad. It's just a little bit slower, and again, totally fine with it, with the game having slower moments, because otherwise it would be League of Angels. If you get a chance, look up Josh Strife Hayes' Let's Play of League of Angels if you want to see what someone in the comments described as an ADHD simulator.
Hey, Stola. The adjustments are going...
Oh, sorry.
'Tis a lengthy process, but the end is in sight, yes.
That's wonderful news. I myself had some good fortune searching through the Satrap's private records. What
Find
I
his
found
old
was a
fanfic?
transaction log dated around the same period as when Alzadal's legacy was built. It included a purchase list of highly exclusive alchemical components. And I knew I'd discovered the key to making the artificial atomos.
Nice job.
I then visited the High Crucible to commission the materials. After I'd explained my requirements, I was beset by volunteers insisting I allow them to help with the entire project.
Yeah, this is like super fun stuff for them.
The usual reaction to someone forcing open a Voidgate is to run for the hills. Harnish academics certainly are a different breed.
The alchemists of old were cut from a similar cloth. The unknown held no fear for them. Indeed, they were ever eager to seek new knowledge, regardless of the danger.
And your sister wasn't there for new knowledge, but the idea of someone doing something regardless of the danger probably is just especially resonant with Varshan at the moment.
And were you not also fearless, heedless even, in your determination?
My sire entered his dormancy before I was hatched. And so it was Ashdaya who kept my eggs safe and warm.
That hurts.
It created a bond between us. Even long after I learned to fend for myself, I rarely strayed from her side. She was my guardian, my sister, my dear companion. And not a single day passes that I do not mourn her absence. No matter how deep the darkness, I would not surrender my search. I promised myself the time would come when we would once more take to the skies together. But I am Satrap now.
The Radiant Host is here to serve, Your Excellency.
Nabdeen, what is this about?
Sir Estinian told us of your predicament.
That's what he was on to.
For centuries you have protected Rads at Han, never showing your true self, hiding behind a curtain and living only in service to the people.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a little draconic companion on our trip to the 13th.
Your dedication meant more to us than your deceit, and so did we accept you as our rightful ruler. After all that you have sacrificed for this nation, did you imagine we would begrudge you your heart's desire?
There's something a little bit similar in this conversation to that end of Stormblood conversation about end of main story quest and base Stormblood conversation between the Sultana and Raubon, in terms of just the choice of not just the choice of Raubon and Ritra between duty and personal desire, but between the other person who cares for them, like actively supporting them and like pushing them to do that.
The final days. We are a strong and proud people. We, the Radiant Host, will keep Thavnair safe in your absence.
And assuring them that them following their heart in this case won't lead to bad things for the person they care about, for that the Sultana was going to be protected by Pippin, and Nabdeen's got the back of the city.
I am grateful for your loyalty and for your encouragement. And yet,
Now you listen to me, Varshan. You
Even
are
more.
wearing that face, after all.
The downside of looking like a kid. That again, this even more than I was expecting. This took a step into that conversation between the Sultana, because this is, you know, that kind of, I am yelling because I'm getting visibly aggressively emotional because I care about you, but it also is a little bit not stepping over boundaries to show this.
As I have told you before, you are a little brother to us all. And if you are family, then so too is your sister. We are there for you if you need us. But do not ask us to sit by and watch while you abandon a sibling you have ached to rescue for millennia.
We will succeed in opening the way. It is only a matter of time. All you need do is prepare to step through to the other side.
This is really sweet.
Your Excellency, I wanted to thank you for building the orphanage. It means so much that my sister and I will have a place to be together, safe and happy. And I hope that you and your sister can be together again too.
I didn't know they were going to bring that parallel into it. Well played. Both the game and Estinian. Protect them, you must take heart. Will you wallow in uncertainty forever? I'm going to go with the top option here. I don't like will you wallow in uncertainty. It's a little bit accusatory for someone who's going through a really tough choice.
take heart and protect them well.
Was that Ajdaya's final words?
Such were the words I once said to you.
Oh, right. My
Here I
bad.
stand, failing to live up to them. If my heart is torn, I am fit to protect neither Ajdaya nor Radzatan. My people, I have come to a decision. Vashan will depart Thavne for a time. My dragon self will remain in the palace, but only to conduct the Satrap's most essential duties.
He's going to leave a seed of himself here, but most of his consciousnness and being will be there.
While I am focused on controlling this vessel, there may be matters that escape my attention.
If Vritra dies in the game, does he die in real life? Like if Varshan is injured and killed, is a part of Vritra gone? Is he basically okay and it's just he loses control, but he can make another one? I don't remember if they've addressed what happens if the vessel gets damaged
I rely on you,
or killed.
my trusted friends, to watch over one another until I return.
Take care and fair fortune, little brother. Many tears would be shed should you come to harm.
I would not dare make you cry.
I like that. It's both sweet and it's giving a little levity to it. That's fantastic. Varshan. I will not squander this chance you've given me. I will find Ajdaya. Dinian, nice job. Convincing others to follow their hearts is not my forte. I would have gladly let out more philosophical. Let our more philosophical comrades take the lead had they been there. You did great on your own. Nabdeen. What? Someone needed to give that boy a good talking to. Yeah, that's... you don't suppose I'll be reprimanded, did you? I did just yell at the Satrap. It does make it easier when you're not yelling at a titanic dragon. Nadana? We'll have that Atomos built before you know it. When a project like this comes along, we'll give it our full and undivided attention. Sleep? Ha! Who needs it? No, don't forsake sleep. Sleep is wonderful. And it, like, I mean, maybe their biology is different. Oh, that reminds me. I should really finish that other project I was working on for His Excellency. What? Is this something we know about? Or is this a... Is that foreshadowing, or is that something I'm supposed to understand at this point? Shola. You surprise me, Estinian. For a lone wolf, you've shown an unusual degree of, shall we say, involvement in helping Vritra reach this conclusion. Estinian. Was for the greater good. The worm's thundering sighs were keeping the citizens awake at night and had travelers believing the place racked by some unnatural storm. Even now being... I actually believe him a little bit that there probably was, like, physical signs of exasperation that were causing disturbances. What of your own answer, then? You seem disinclined to venture into the void. When I was one with Nidhogg, his vengeful thoughts were my thoughts, his endless rage my rage, and the soul-chilling grief he nursed for Radatosker's death. I would not wish such agony upon a foe, let alone a friend and ally. There is a chance we can spare Vritra that pain, then I will follow you. Yeah, but what was your hesitation? It seemed like... I guess you're just saying that, yeah, I mean, it's not my thing, but I guess this is reason enough. Was that it? Any other former scions we should call on? Just the four... Let's not say former scions in quote with like a wink and an elbow when we're surrounded by people. Just the four of us? Things as they are, I'd rather not bother our comrades with aught less than a dire threat to the star. It'll make for an interesting journey, besides. Traveling in a smaller party for a change. Crowds can be a bit draining, don't you think? Now, on to specifics. Okay, I like that. Unlike the first, where the flood of light was halted before its devastation was complete, the 13th has been utterly subsumed by darkness. My plan as such is to explore the void in stages, withdrawing to safety after each brief foray. It would be more convenient if we had some manner of base camp near to the gate itself. Barshan, one of my palace chambers should serve. Come, let us reconvene outside Megaduta. Okay. We're really doing this, aren't we? Barshan, and so we will require suitable accommodations. Might we make something available for our guests? All the chambers are presently hosting the great mounds of treasure we carried out of the vault. Once the Foundation's activities begin in earnest, however, we can redistribute the trove and make a room or two ready for habitation. Good. Please inform me when you've completed the arrangements. Okay. I mean, I would be okay with just, like, doing the Scrooge McDuck and just, like, I don't know, swimming in it and relaxing in the vault, but, like, in the vault treasure, but it's probably actually super uncomfortable. As you've heard, we will have you settled in Megaduta in due time. Shtola, as ever, you are most gracious, Your Excellency. You risk yourselves to aid me in the search for Ashdaya. Providing comfortable quarters is the least I can do. I only wish we knew more about our destination. Gods only know how long our explorations might possibly take, or what our chances of success might possibly be. Succeed or fail, I am grateful to you for convincing me to make the attempt. Shtola, on that note, I will return to the great work and lend what help I can to Nadana. We've preparations to make ere we venture into the 13th. Now's the time. Yeah, this is surprising because I really thought the 13th was going to be the raid, the Alliance raid, but the Alliance raid is out now, and this is really setting the trip to the 13th for the next patch, for the next MSQ. Stinian, all I need is my armor and my lance. Perhaps I'll train with the Radiant Host to pass the time before we depart. You know what this means to me, Kukushu, but my purpose need not consume you as well. They are headed to another world. Find what joy you can in the experience. For you are a traveler, an adventurer at heart. This I know. That beautiful, expansive sky. Up, 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 up. Meanwhile, in the 13th. Okay. I thought that was going to be... I thought the achievement was going to come up, like, completed. The... Are we returning to Golbez? Yeah, I see the elemental things. Maybe? This is someone with a scythe. This is not Golbez. So this is the person who was at the start of the expansion. This is different from Golbez. Or not the start of the expansion, at the start of the first, like, I am reborn. Hands around the face. Like a Reaper's thing.
And thus I am returned.
Is that like their version of Zemus? Zeromus?
Bereft of saviors.
So I'll bet that's one of the heroes we heard about, who was who became engulfed and became hungry and consumed by the Aetheryte. And I wouldn't be surprised if they became Zeromus. Let paths unwalked adventures spur, pulses quicken spirits stir. Because Zeromus was a Lunarian at first in Final Fantasy IV before he became final boss. Like, so maybe that's whoever's going to be Zeromus, and that's my, I guess that's my current prediction, is that it's going to be someone who's going to eventually be called Zemus or Zeromus or something, and that they're going, or I guess Zemus at first, and then they're, and but that their true identity in the 14 lore was the hero who, like, became consumed by the Aurosite and turned into a monster. That's my guess. Anyway, our journeys into the void promised to be neither short nor simple. Kept my sister waiting for far too long. You've been doing your best. That's going to be it for me for today. This is wonderful. We've finished. We've caught up on the MSQ. Finally, months in. What is this? 6, 7 months in, 8 months in. We've caught up on the MSQ. It won't take me that long to go through 8.2. Anyway, so, or it's 8.2, 6.2. Next time, I don't know what we're going to do. There's a couple of unlock quests. There's Hildebrand. I think I'm going to put Hildebrand off as the very last thing. I'm going to do, I think, next I don't know, there's 2 unlock quests that I'll check out. And then there's also the side thing at Tataru's Bazaar. So, I don't know, let me know if you have a preference for what I do next. I lean towards whichever the Alliance raid is, but I don't know which of those unlocks that is. So I might look into that. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and a subscribe so you can see more and more people get to see this. And so, because it feels good as someone who makes these videos to see that sort of thing. And leave a comment and let me know what you think. So see you all later. Bye-bye.